In the last video, we spoke about tables in HTML. Basically, we've built this Excel sheet inside HTML, and we've learned the fundamentals of tables. But let's say the user wants to create an account in your site. How will you allow it? So in HTML, we have forms, and forms are just containers that allow the user to enter an input, like their name, age, and so on. So in this video, we will build an HTML form. But we won't receive the data because HTML is just for building the form. But JavaScript can help us use the information. So in my text editor, I'm just gonna write an H1, a basic header. I'm gonna write HTML form. Next, I'm gonna use something called a field set. And a field set is used to group related elements. So I'm gonna close this tag. In this first field set will be all the elements or settings that the user should fill up that are required for the user. But the second field set, I'm gonna just copy this one. In the second field set will be the optional settings for the user to fill. Now in the first field set, I'm gonna write something called a legend. And a legend is just a caption or describe a field set. So I'm gonna say, please fill up this form. In the second field set, I'm gonna write the same legend, but the content is different. I'm gonna say optional. Because this side or this field set is for the optional settings. So this is how it looks like. We have this header, this is the field set, and this is the legend of the first field set. This is the second field set, and this is its legend. Now we need to add input. First, I want the user to input their first name. So I'm gonna say enter your first name. Of course, the user should enter their first name, so it will be an input. And an input or the input tag is actually a self-closing tag. But what type is this input? Of course, it will be type of text because a name is just a text. So inside the type attribute, I'm gonna write text. Now because this input is inside the first field set, that means all the input are here required. So I'm gonna write the required attribute. Like this, the user won't be able to submit if this field is not filled. As you can see, we have enter your first name and we can write, let's say, John. Now nothing will happen because we don't have a submit button. We will do that at the end. I'm gonna add a break tag to go to a new line. I'm gonna say enter your last name. Same as before, it will be an input type text, of course. Of course, it will be required. As you can see, we have the enter your last name input. And if I hover over it, as you can see, it will say please fill out this field because it's required. Now I want the user to enter their age. I'm gonna say enter your age. Of course, an age is a number, so the type won't be a text. It will be a number. So input type equal to number. Of course, this field is required, but I don't want any user age under 15 or greater than 100 to create an account on my site. So what I will do is, I'll set some condition by using the min attribute, and inside min I'm gonna say 15, and the max attribute, and inside max I will say 100. That means no user under 15 and greater than 100 can create an account on my site. As you can see, enter your age, it is a required field. If I press the up arrow, it will start with 15, not 0, because the minimum value is 15. And if I go up, the maximum value is 100 because I set the max attribute to 100. Of course, other than the age, the user should input their email. So I'm gonna say enter your email. Now the input will not be a type of text, it will be type email. Of course, it will be required. Now inside the type attribute, you have a lot of values. We won't cover them all today, but if I delete email, as you can see, I have a lot of values to choose. And you can mess around with them, play around, and see which one or test each one of them. As you can see, simple, you're just going to write an email with the @gmail.com. Now we need a password, so the user should be able to create a password. I'm gonna say create a new password. Of course, the input won't be a text because usually passwords are able, or the user is able to hide the password. So you always notice that each time you write a password, you are able to hide it. That's what we want the user also to do. So I'm gonna say type equal to password. Of course, it will be a required field. Now there's an attribute called pattern. And inside the pattern attribute, you'll set a rule, and the password of the user should verify the rule in order to submit perfectly. So I'll say something like pattern. And now let's say I want the password of the user to have lower and uppercase letters, numbers from 0 to 5, and the length of the password should be 12 and greater. First, I'm gonna use brackets. Inside brackets, I'm gonna say A-Z capital. That means the user should have capital letters inside their password. I'm gonna say next AZ, that means lowercase letters. Now I'm gonna say 05. Excuse me, I forgot the hyphen, so 05. Now the password should contain numbers from 0 to 5. Now inside curly braces, we will specify the length. So I said that the length should be 12 and can be greater. So I'm not gonna specify a value because the length can be greater than 12. So what this means? It means that the user is able to input a password that has lower and uppercase letters, numbers from 0 to 5, and a length of 12 or greater. Okay, other than creating passwords, I want to make sure that the user did read the terms and condition of the website. So I'm gonna say input, type, and I want to make sure that the user checks a box if they read the terms and condition. So the type will be a checkbox. And of course, it will be required. After it, I'm gonna say I have read and the terms and condition will be a link. So I'll say I'm gonna use the anchor tag. Now usually you need to add the link of the terms and condition of your website, but I don't have it, so I'm gonna write something random, unlinked. And now I'm gonna write terms and condition. Make sure to close the anchor tag. So as you can see, I have this checkbox or a box that I can check. So the user will check this checkbox if they read the terms and condition, and if they didn't check it, they cannot submit the form. Great. Now I want to know if the user is creating this account for business purposes or it's only a personal account. So I'm gonna say something like, or I'm gonna write two inputs. They will be of type radio. And of course, they will be required, both of them. Now the first one will be for business account. The second one will be for personal account. As you can see, the user should choose either business account or personal account. Let's say the user chose personal account, but changed his mind and decided to put it as business account. As you can see, both are checked. I want to make sure that the user only checks one box or one option. All I need to do here is add the same name attribute for each one of them. Of course, with the same value. Let's say account choice. Now this name attribute is generally used to reference elements inside JavaScript, but we are using it here to fix our own problem. Press on personal account and let's say I'm gonna switch to business account. And now it worked. The user can only check one radio button. And this is it for the first field set. All the elements inside are required because they have the required keyword. Now let's go down to the optional side or the field set that has the optional legend. Now in the optional side, I want to ask the user from where did they heard from us. So I'm gonna say maybe from social media, Google Ads, others, I don't know. Let's say, how did you heard from us? Now the user should select different options. What I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna use the select tag and make sure to close it. Now inside the select tag, we can use the option tag. Like this, I could give the user options to choose. Of course, they can only choose one option. Now I'm gonna copy paste it 3 times or 2 times. Inside the first option, I'm gonna write social media. In the second option, I'm gonna write Google Ads. In the last option, I'm gonna write others. As you can see, we have this arrow. If I press on it, the user is able to choose which one suits his answer. Maybe they heard from us from Google Ads, they'll press on Google Ads. Let's say I want the user to enter their birthday. So I'm gonna say enter your birthday. Now the input won't be a number. It will be a type of date because I want them to specify the month, day, and year. So date, and of course it won't be required. As you can see, we have this calendar and I forgot to add the break tag. Make sure to add it. And so we have the month, day, and year. Let's say the user is named John and he's 47. That means it should be born in 1976. And we will choose something random. Let's say May. And yeah, this is the birthday of John. Next, it will be optional for the user to upload a profile pic. So I'm gonna say upload a profile picture. And the input will be of type file because the user should input a file. As you can see, upload a profile picture, no file chosen because the user didn't choose a file yet. If I press on choose file, now I can choose a file that I want. Let's say this one, profile picture. As you can see, there's its name of the picture. At last, I really want to know about the user. So I'm gonna add a text area for them to write about themselves. So I'm gonna say bio, and next to it, I'm gonna say text area. So it's an area to write text, and make sure to close this tag. As you can see, bio and the user can type whatever they want here. But we have certain type of attributes to use. We could say rows and specify the number of rows inside this text area. Let's say 4. We could also specify the number of columns. Let's say 30. Also, we could add a placeholder text. That means this text will appear only if the user doesn't write anything. So let's say it will be write something about you. As you can see, 4 rows, 30 columns, and this is the placeholder text. Write something about you. I'm gonna write I like coding. And if I take it off, the placeholder text will appear. Now let's get out of the optional field set and add our submit button. So input type will be, of course, submit. And boom, there we have, this is our submit button. Now this is the HTML form that we've built inside this tutorial. Now if you write any type of input right now and press on the submit button, nothing will happen because in HTML you cannot work with data. You only build the structure of the form, but in JavaScript you will be able to control and work with this data. Alright, this is it on HTML forms. With forms, you are able to let the user create an account on your site and simply stay in touch with you. This will allow them to stay notified on your uploads. Also, it will allow you to send them emails and connect with them. Now, make sure to subscribe to my channel and follow me along in my HTML tutorial, and soon enough, I will be doing a CSS tutorial. But for now, check out how to insert a table in HTML or how to add images and videos in HTML.